Hello! Welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Lisette, and I'm so glad that you're here. We're back on Mabon for the Friendsgiving Community Design Challenge, created by the beautiful Kaylee Games. Specifics for the challenge as well as participating content creators are in the description box below. In today's video, there's a little tiny villager hunt with a Let's Play style dialogue, and then it'll be voiceover me again for the remainder as we montage speed build my entrance. Also, I still have Harvey here. Pinky? Yes! You do have to go learn to be famous. Go make it big, girl. Look at her. She's so cute. What if we did... Behold. Let's go villager hunting. So we are starting with 50 tickets. I am hoping I won't even need that much. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of luck we have today. Diva. Rift. Not pity. Are you kidding me, sir? Meringue. Norma. Eloise. OMG. B. Oh yeah, yours is like a bakery. I'm excited for you to be here too. You know, girl, I have the same struggle. So my design process is definitely a process. It's a chaotic, second-guessing, always unsure of myself process. This is exacerbated by the fact that I have a hard time finishing islands, hence me referring to myself as a chronic restarter among the community. I'm hoping by this being a challenge that I will actually finish this island. But I digress. Back to the point. I've actually cut out a lot of my fumbling around and going back and forth, though I do leave some of my confused and exasperated spins, so no one gets any funny ideas that I truly knew what I was doing. I started with trying to figure out how I wanted to get to resident services, and I had always pictured it coming up from the front, straight down the middle, especially for this island where it's town core-esque. Sleepy little town in the midst of a forest kind of vibes, you know? But the straight lines I needed to use and feeling like I didn't have enough room in the front, though after I made decisions, I realized I did have space. It kind of just left me feeling like I was missing something and that I needed to go in a different direction. I came to the point of wanting to feel like you were weaving through a forest to get into town. And I think in the end, I did accomplish that, though it took ages to get to that point. And so you'll see that I tried a variety of different things that I ended up scrapping. I really did like the leaves on the dirt path, and I really hope I end up using that somewhere in the future on this island. But my brain cells could not come up with how to connect that to the brick path that I have coming out of resident services, especially with the straight lines that I needed to use for that brick code. I do end up trying the other brick path that I had included in my previous video, the montages and mood boards part 1. But it was the same problem with the leaves, wanting to use it on the in-game path. And I nixed that idea, tried it just over the grass, and I did not like the combination at all. Granted, I do think I'll set this in early October in the end, once it's less lime green. Definitely not maple leaf season, but where things are kind of dying a little bit, but not too much. And so, in true me fashion, I downloaded a different code. This time, it was a dirt code that I think works really well for the vision that I have. When in doubt, use a dirt code. It has not led me astray yet. Yet, I am also working on a city core island, and I don't think dirt codes are going to apply to that. Anyway, I've affectionately titled this video Deforestation because naturally I cut down a lot of the trees to start my build, and I just end up putting some of them back, obviously. And while I have learned through my Animal Crossing journey that I do like having limitations and things to work around, I do ultimately want the final say. So that's why I work with some of the trees in the places that they are. I eventually replace them with other types of trees. Like the apple tree just turns into a normal tree. But I do like having that as a guide. So giving myself some rules, some limitations really helps me make decisions, because I think that is part of my problem. Creativity takes a lot of decision making, and where I struggle with making decisions, where I feel like there is a right or wrong answer, it's hard. So when there are limitations, it's a lot easier for me to breathe and work through it. So, and I did find out the other day from Amy Jane Gaming, shout out to the lovely Amy Jane, that stunted trees don't count against you in Isabel's rating system. So while this build is technically done, I'll be going back and adding more stunted trees. Also, who decided it was a good idea for me to do forest core? I mean, the entire island isn't forest core, but enough of it is, and OMG, why is nature so hard? So there was a ton of walking through the trees and making sure that the vibes were right. The trees were the right size, that it truly felt like you were weaving through them. There's one turn where the character is hidden behind the trees, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to feel immersive and slightly too much in that regard. What I did ultimately decide was too much was stuff and flowers. I include a lot of the struggle that I had to place items and all of the different items that I tried working with. The last two islands I really worked on were a cottage meadowcore island and a tropical, I think turned kind of jungle-ish island, where the deeper you went into the island, the more natural, the more overrun with nature it became. But it still had so much nature, so many flowers and bushes and items, little bits and bobs spread around to catch your attention, or stalls overrun with like textiles and stuff. And I tried to replicate that with this build, but it never felt right. I did really like some of the pairings and positions of items that I did, but it felt wrong within the whole context of what I was doing. So I do eventually like scale it back and go with a less is more approach. And I do really like that a whole lot better. I wonder if it might kind of come off as underwhelming but really the impact of this build is supposed to be the trees. It's supposed to be so many trees. Why are there so many trees? And so I hope that that's kind of the vibe that you come out of it with, and when you visit, that's just what it feels like. And this build took me at least 5 hours from start to finish. I literally had so much footage to work through that I did not end up using. That was just a lot of the same thing of me running around and not really doing anything or scrapping what I was trying. It's a different kind of humbling experience when you see your gameplay and you're like, what are you doing? But anyway, if you pay attention, you'll see how the time of day changes as we progress more. I did initially try to keep it pretty continuous, time traveling back to like the minute that I had been on the day before, just so then that way it seemed a little bit more seamless. But I gave up on that because I did also want to get to the autumn equinox in the game without like skipping forward entire days. So I did start letting time go by. And I think it comes together in the end, especially since my little glamour shots are set at night, which I think really highlight a lot of the vibes. I don't know when I'm going to set this island, but I liked it in the end. And this little spot that I'm working on right now that has the wild log bench, I actually really end up loving that spot and what I did with it. And I think that's a really nice part of building the places that you don't necessarily think are going to be a big deal. Those ones have turned out to be my absolute favorite spots than the really big picture builds that I feel pressured to get right. So like right here where I'm putting a veggie basket on this leaf stool. Like it's just a little snippet. Just a little moment in the frame that I just absolutely love. So I think trying to find those moments more as I play the game, especially slowly, really encourage me to keep going, to keep trying. And I really wanted to incorporate that owl clock because I saw it on a Pinterest picture. And because Mabon is associated with owls and we can't have owl villagers, thanks, Blathers. And Celeste, I guess. I really wanted to incorporate that. I know I have the codes for like the clothing that looks like owls, but I felt like it was getting too lost with the way you weave through the path. It's not supposed to be so limited that you can't get into the trees. It's a little bit more like highly discouraged. I want you to stay on the path. But like, if you really want to go in the middle of the trees, there are technically ways to do that. So then here I am putting in the log bench because I wanted to put like some strapped books, a little reading moment near resident services. I was a huge bookworm as a kid. And I remember in like the 3rd grade or something, I was reading this book called Turning 13 or something. And it came up in like a parent-teacher conference. And then my teacher just kind of was like, WTF. So anyway, little side note here. I don't realize until I take away those garden lanterns that that second garden lantern is not centered in that circle code. And then I was just going to leave it. And that was infuriating to me when I figured that out. Anyway, I do want like a lot of like reading spots on this island because while I don't read as much as I used to, I do still have a love of reading and I like collecting books like someone might collect wine. You know, for the proper time and place and mood. So, yeah, hoping to incorporate a lot more of that. And I really do want to have quite a few wells in this. And I also really love this little spot that I did. I love that I was able to use the leaves with the in-game path that I also use like under the bench. I really want something that's a lot bigger so you can see more of it. But I do think this was just a nice little touch. It's just like, it's just so good. I love it so much. It's the simple things in life and in game. And I did really love the candle. I mean, I used it twice in this build, so I really do love it. I also want to incorporate a lot of that as the island goes on and as we venture out of the actual town. So crossing my fingers that that's all going to work. And as is with building, a lot of fidgeting back and forth and being like, are you sure I can't move this any more than I already have? So then this little spot, I kept coming back to it so many times because I wanted to fill it and I could not, for the life of me, find something adequate to fill it until like the very end. And then I wanted to use some leaves. I do leave the yellow leaves there for a minute. I mean, I ended up taking it away because I don't think that it's actually going to go with the trees, like the color of the leaves for when I set it. Sometimes I take things very literal. So I'm like, the green is too green, but this yellow is way too yellow, so I end up mixing it. I really wish sometimes we had like gradient selectors for colors of items. That's me trying to use the owl code again. And I know a lot of people have included like pumpkins in their entrances, so I was like, maybe I could try something like that. And then, no, that's not really what I wanted. And this entire side of the beach, going all the way up to the rocks, all flowers. All absolutely flowers. I'm hoping I use a lot of them as I make builds, so then that way I don't have to do a mass deflowering of my beaches at the end of my island. And so this is where I'm trying the let's just fill every space with flowers, because that was my plan and that is what I knew. That's what I did on Phoenix Fire. I mean, on Cadbury, I had a bunny island on my all bunny island that was just a flower meadow, and I still had so many flowers everywhere. So that's what I'm trying. I did figure out that these little handheld lanterns could be placed as an item. I was really worried that you would only be able to hold them, but no. And then I don't realize until later that I actually have to turn them on. But oh my gosh, that is also one of the little details that I love about this build. Using those lanterns, the light it gives it makes me want to set this island near nighttime, but I don't think it's really going to work with the rest of the builds, which is a huge bummer. So I'm just going to have to take a lot of pictures, take a lot of video clips, so then I have that filament with them. Because, really just, it's the perfect touch. I don't think the garden lanterns would have the same effect. A little too town, a little too city, whereas these are a little bit more rustic. You'll see that I did put my owl back there, and I do like that it's like a little creepy. I mean, I think owls, beautiful birds, a little creepy. So just like, you know, some poking through the leaves. So again, just those little bits and pieces. And here I'm trying to put more flowers to fill in the gaps. I had never initially thought of myself as somebody who had to fill every tile. And then that's what I did on Cadbury. And that's what I did on Phoenix Fire. And then it was like, oh, okay, maybe I am that person who has to fill in every square. It's not a bad thing. And that did not work for this. And I guess I could have used weeds. I never thought of actually using weeds like at all in this process. So maybe when I go back and use stunted trees, maybe I'll drop some weeds somewhere. I don't know that the glowing moss, while it would be a beautiful effect, is really what I'll be going for on this part of the island. But I'm not going to rule anything out, right? You won't know until you try. So this is my first person little view, trying to make sure that it is the vibe that I want. Realize that I don't like this. And that's when I realized that that garden lantern was not centered. So I run back and get the tried and true plain party lights arch. I use so many of them on Cadbury. Didn't think I was going to use it on Phoenix Fire because it was like, it's tropical. It's tropical. Like, why am I going to use these? Nope. I used a lot of them there too. So this island will incorporate a lot of that. And I'm actually really excited for the builds that I have planned to use them. So I do like this a whole lot better. I love that vine chair swing, whatever it's called. Nice little touch. And here I'm going back and deflowering some of this, switching out some of the flowers. I know some people don't like repetition of either flower types or the flower color. And I think I am generally the same because I understand kind of like what we're trying to achieve and the vibe. But I do leave some of it alone. Like I think that orange tulip and the orange cosmo stay the same right there on the right side. And I think in the end, it looks fine. I don't see like it's clashing a lot. One of the hard parts with this island and my color scheme and the vision I have is the hue of the flowers. Namely, I feel like they're a little too bright. I wanted it a little bit more muted. Definitely not pastel, but definitely more muted. Maybe like deeper, but not stronger. I don't know. But I'm working with what I have and just trying to accept limitations, right? And so using those that stone code, I do plan to have a little path that kind of like veers off into the forest. So I just kind of set that up right there. And then just a lot more changing out these flowers. Then I decide to skip forward a day. Got Robin in my campsite. Beautiful bird, not right for this island. So, but I thought that would be fun to kind of include. I love seeing who the campsite villager is since there's so many options that we have. And here where I've set it, where the sun is setting, just, oh, I loved it. It's like when you're craving a piece of chocolate and you actually get to eat a really good piece of chocolate and you just relish in that moment and you enjoy having taste buds. That's what this was to me. And then when it gets even darker, oh, like I hope you guys love it as much as I do, because I love it so much. And then here I figure I should probably put down some custom codes before I slap on the fence. And in true me fashion, some of it really just has to make sense to me. So putting leaves down where leaves would naturally fall. I mean, would they have naturally fallen where I originally placed them? Yeah, sure, probably. But it would have made more sense where I put them, at least in my mind, right? And I love how in my mood board, I did not use this fencing. And this is the fencing I use. So my ideas are always subject to change. I'll say I'm doing one thing or I'm not going to do something, and then I change my mind. That is my mutable Sagittarian energy coming out, ever changing. Just kind of going with the flow and with what works better. And these villagers were so cute this entire build. Pashmina just hanging out with me as I decide to fill the forest floor with a bunch of fallen leaves. Which, holy cow, took such a long time. Oh my goodness, it took a long time. Luckily for you, I have cut all of it out. But I do really like the effect of it, and I do love the wild log bench here. I think it's just like a fun little touch. I do think you'll be able to get into the forest there from this right side. So at least you have a nice little spot to sit, you know? Maybe I'll put a little table with another book or something. I don't know. I really probably should have used some kind of music player for like some ambiance, but I don't think of things until the end. And on this side, on this left side of the forest, I only do like a little bit of a path with the leaves. Forests aren't all the same, right? So the right side just has more fallen leaves. But I do put mushrooms on this side, which a nice little touch. I think I drop it there, that mushroom, and then I try to move it over and I don't like it. And so I pick it back up, but then I think I drop it in like the exact same place. But I decided to call it good that time. I don't know why I'm like this either. So then now we are at the end of the build. Set at nighttime so you can really appreciate the lights. I love the round street lamps. Love the handheld lanterns, where it's kind of giving that kind of a whimsy vibe, I think. I am also not very good at walking with this first-person camera, so my deepest apologies. I am not good at that, but I do think it captures the vibe of everything I was trying to accomplish. And then I needed to get that little owl in there. And then here's just kind of like a different perspective so you could see more of it. Definitely less is more with this build. But here's some glamour shots of what I have going on that I think are just really nice, that encapsulate the vibe in a really quick way of seeing everything that I did. So that is my entrance build. That took way too long for me to accomplish. I hope that you like it as much as I do, and that it keeps you wanting to come back to see what else I have planned. And the rest of the video is going to be the little clips that I didn't try to fit into the middle of the video, just for funsies. I liked doing it last time, so here you go. Until the next one, bye! Ooh, I can go on a cabin island. Let's go on a cabin island. That sounds like a tongue twister. Wooden block wall clock. Wooden block wall clock. Wooden block wall clock. I'll just stop before I say something inappropriate. Fall is pies, pumpkin, pecan. Oh, and my favorite, pie. You make one pie and sign another one. Oh, Bo, you're so cute. Mr. Bo is sick. This cold. Oh no. Oh no. We need to go get him medicine too. Okay. We need to find Pashmina and we need to go get Bo medicine. Ike, you did not tell me Bo was sick. How could you not care? Pashmina. Did you drop this? Ike said you dropped this. I'm reading this book too. Wait, this is my copy. You can always count on me to kick you out. An athletic jacket. Okay. Bo. Got your medicine. Dr. Nurse Lisette is coming. I'm coming to save you. Did I give him the sickness? No, Bo! I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Take this medicine. Take this medicine. Feel better. Snacks are better, but this ain't but this isn't the gross mouth party I thought it'd be. Aww. We'll get better, Bo. We will be better. You made a total downer of a day, a not total downer of a day. Aww. He's so cute. You're the black ones? I don't have enough bells. That is so rude.